Hello, and welcome to a new video and to a new Sims 4 speed build. And in today's video, we will be building a modern house, a small modern house in the middle of the woods for an artist. So the idea for this was I wanted to build like a sort of retreat for an artist or an artsy sim, and I wanted them to live in the middle of the woods where they could, focus on their art and also just be inspired by their surroundings and the environment. And I thought this lot in Brindleton Bay would be the perfect spot to do that. Now, I also knew that I wanted to build something modern, but that also fit within the nature around. And I do this sometimes by loading the debug catalog or the live edit catalogs with the cheats that you have in the game. And then I just go around and filter by the pack of the world I'm building on. So for this build, I focused on the farm pack. I forgot the name all of a sudden, but yeah. And then I had access to the rocks and also the trees that are around the world. And this helps to make some sort of continuous lot, or in a way that makes it fit into the world around it. So that's what we do. And I also wanted to do a modern build because I like when it kind of clashes. So you have the modern side and then you have all the landscaping and the nature and the trees. And I think it creates a beautiful contrast. And it's interesting, it's different. And yeah, I thought it would be a cool idea to do that, having in mind this artist sim. And as you can probably tell, this is going to be a very small house and the floor plan is pretty simple. I just started building and tried to go around or within the rocks and make a shape that fit the rocks. So instead of making it look like very arbitrary, I just placed the rocks there and then I kind of built around it. So yeah, the shape is pretty simple. We just expand the upper floor a little bit and we actually have the main house, so this little house here, and then we're gonna have a little, I don't even know what you call it, but it's like a section separate to the house with a sort of pergola, and then we will be having a painting area also there as well. Now, after I laid out these rocks, I also, as you can see, I went around and got the trees that are also from this pack, and I was thinking they could frame nicely a little bit of the house. And also, of course, I wanted to have a lot of greenery here, so we do end up using a lot of landscaping. As I said, I like when there's this sort of clash between hyper-modern and not even hyper-modern, just regular modern builds and then the nature side of it. So that was the whole idea here. Now, another thing for this build is we will be using custom content. And the reason for that is I went on a CC shopping spree and I just went around and got a bunch of custom content packs. And honestly, I was going to build something else before I built this. I was going to build like a sort of classical build with custom content as well, not as much as I use in this build. And it was a pretty big build. However, we have this bug in game with the roofing, so I did not want to get into that. When I started building that one build, I forgot we had that bug, and when I got to the roofing part, and it would be, or it is going to be a major part of that build, so I just gave up and I decided to do something or a build that did not include using the roof tool because I wanted to build something, but I don't want to have to work around a bug in the game. And it is a little bit weird that we have to wait so long for this bug to be fixed. I think they will be fixing on the 21st of July, and it was 3 weeks of wait, or almost a month, which is a bit insane in my opinion, especially since that one update it was meant to fix the broken windows and doors, so when they don't work. And not only did it not fix that, I still have that bug, but it also ended up breaking the roofs, so that's a little bit frustrating. But yeah, so that is why I decided to do this modern build, because I knew it's easier to not use the roof tool on a modern build. So that's what we did. And yeah, about the CC, I have not gotten the latest Sims 4 packs, and it seems as though we will not be getting any new expansion packs for The Sims 4 like ever again. I thought we wouldn't get any other packs at all in The Sims 4. However, they just announced a new kit, which was a bit surprising, and it is like an instruments slash music kind of kit, which I know a lot of people want a band's expansion pack or any pack in general, not just a kit. But since we're not having any more packs, I guess they decided to release that. Maybe it honestly feels like they were preparing some sort of bands pack and they just scratched it for, I don't know, business or reasons that we are not aware of, and they just decided to release all of the content they had made into this kit. I don't know, that's just a little bit of a wild guess. And you know, also with the introduction of the marketplace, I thought that was the nail on the coffin for packs, but no, we will be getting that kit, and I suppose we will be getting kits now more related to ads, since we have this also new ad thing. So they will be collaborating with some brands, and actually I don't know if it's going to be kits. I feel like it could just be base game updates, because we've had a few now. With the latest one I remember being is like some decoration bags. But yeah, if that's the kind of ads that we get, then I won't be really mad at it, because we've always had packs that kind of collaborated with other brands. For instance, I'm thinking of The Sims 2, we had the IKEA pack, we had H&M, and also Diesel, I think. And then in The Sims 3 as well, they also collaborated with Katy Perry, I remember that. And so I don't think it's a very crazy idea to have those collaborations in the game, and it makes sense if they're free. Now, I wouldn't really like to have like ads being pushed on my face, you know, pop-ups and stuff like that. That is definitely not what I want, and I don't think that's gonna be it. But you know, it's EA, so it's always a surprise. But yeah, we have that bug, so we went for this modern build, and I actually had fun. And some of the most fun builds are when I just start building with, you know, nothing in mind. I just have this concept, this kind of abstract idea, and then I start building and see if it goes somewhere. And I did start building 2 other builds before this one as well, aside from that big one that I mentioned earlier. That one I still want to go through, but 2 of those before this one I ended up just scratching. I wasn't really liking where it was going. So, you know, that's part of the process. And sometimes I spend like 1 hour or 2 building something and then it goes nowhere and I scratch it, and that's fine. It's, you know, that's how the creative process goes. And it goes to show that not everything you do will be good on the first try. And, you know, if you want to get into building, and I think this is just good advice in general, whatever you want to do, you will not be good at it in your first try, even if you are. Like, that is not guaranteed. And talent is very subjective, and it is almost half of the job, because the other half of talent really is just dedication and putting work into it. And this is something that I tell myself all the time for a lot of different topics in my life. Like, you don't have to be good at everything on the first try, and that's okay. And this is a bit unrelated, but also related. There's a lot of, with generative AI being so popular now, I think the thing that bothers me the most is the fact that we lose the process. So we have something that was generated, something that wasn't unique, but it is a compilation of a lot of things, and we lose the process. And that is what makes us human: the process, the failing, the trying again, and the succeeding. And the final product, it is important, but it only has value because of everything you go through to get there. So, you know, if you want to get into art, if you want to get into whatever it is that you want to do, allow yourself to fail, and also realize that failing isn't actually failing, it is learning. And if you do not succeed on the first try, that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep doing it. On the contrary, it means you have to keep doing it in order to get better. But yeah, I don't know why I went this far into this topic, but yeah, it goes to say that a lot of the times we just see the final product of something. We don't really know what goes on in the background. We don't really know of the quote-unquote failures. So, you know, I guess this is me saying that as a node to that. So a node to failure, a node to the process, and a lot of realizing that things are not perfect on the first try or even the second and the third. But that doesn't mean you should stop. It means you should keep going. But yeah, onto this build. As I said, we use a lot of CC, and let me know if you would like also a version of this build with no CC, or if you would prefer to have like just the shell of it with also no CC. I think that's something I could do as well if you'd be interested in that. But yeah, we do add a little bump there on the right of the build. Just because I wanted to have a little bit more working space to place the stairs. Just because this first floor, or the ground floor, is a bit of a squeeze, and I wanted it to be a kitchen slash living slash eating area. So I do expand it a little bit. And I just want to say, and this might be weird, the floor plan for this, or for the ground floor, was tough. I took so long to figure it out. And I think the challenge was because it was really small, and then it had weird placements. For instance, we had the stairs in one spot, and then we had, you know, windows and a door, and this entrance door is really big for the small space that we have. And I knew the upper floor would be simple, so we have the bedroom, and then we have the studio, if you can call it that, and a bathroom. So it is pretty simple, and I knew it was going to be simple upstairs. The downstairs really was the headache. Yeah, as you can see, the stairs there, they don't end up going there. They go over on the back wall where we have that horizontal window. And I love these custom content windows that are like open. I used a bunch of those in this build. I really wanted it to feel like you can open up this house and let the outside in, you know, fresh air, the breeze, the sounds of the nature, the rustling of the leaves, and also the birds, you know, so all of that. So yeah, this is where the stairs go. And I had this idea of putting the kitchen where this horizontal window was, and it ends up not going there actually, just because the rest of the space would be very awkward to try and work with or to place a living room. So yeah, as you can see, this upper floor is kind of sitting on the rocks, but then I also placed some sort of columns underneath, and I had this bump out in the back of the house, but I think I get rid of that and I just place a window there. Yeah, exactly. And then we just built those columns that I was talking about, just to, since it wasn't exactly sitting on the rocks, now it gives some more structure to it. But yeah, then I also do in the back of the build, I do this same sort of detail that we have in the front, just to make it a little bit more cohesive, and also to not make it look so flat. And I guess in real life, these exist for not only privacy reasons, but also probably the wind. If you want to open your windows, then you don't have winds rushing in, and also I suppose rain. So this is the floor plan for the upper floor. The bedroom ends up being this sort of small size, but we do fit a double bed there. And then we move on and we actually start building that little section that I told you about that was outside of the house. So I do place that one by one there, and then I just delete it after I place a platform on top of it, and we make it sit also on top of these rocks. And I wanted to do it there because, you know, we have a small home, so it's nice to have an extra space where you could either eat or have some hobbies. So yeah, that's what we do. And then I just placed another platform because I knew I wanted to have this sort of pathway with stairs, and so it is a little bit more hidden than the main house, which is what I was going for. And then you have this open view of the rest of the forest, while also being more closed off from the rest of the world, even though you are already with this build. But yeah, so yeah, we do this sort of pathway that goes around the tree. We extend it a little bit more, and then we just place some stairs there. After a little bit of trial and error, we get there in the end. And then we just decorate it really well with a lot of plants. And as I said, I do filter a lot by the pack that we use. So yeah, I love when we have these modern buildings, especially when they have like light colors and timber, and then they have these climbing ivy. I think they look really nice. So yeah, this little area here, we sort of do it more of a triangular shape, and then we do place a pergola on top. And this one isn't actually custom content. I think we do swap it for a custom content one, I'm not sure, but I know that we use some ivy that is also CC, so... Okay, actually I think we used that one just in a different swatch, and that's what we end up doing. And then we just put some more of these hedges around. I like this overgrown look, especially coming from the rocks. And of course we do this old trick where we just rise up some of these ivy, these bushes, and then we just place them on top of the pergola to make it look like the ivy is growing on top of it. Then of course we have that custom content ivy there, as you can see, climbing up the column. So I thought it looked really nice. But yeah, moving on to the interior, as I said, I spent, I don't know, 40 minutes figuring this out. And I cut a lot of that footage, of course. But yeah, this is where we end up having the kitchen. So we have this sort of L-shaped kitchen. And then on the corner there, we're going to have the living room. So we have the couch against these counters. I tried a lot of different things. I tried having the eating area being like integrated with the kitchen with the stools and all that. But it really wasn't working out because there would still be some weird spaces and not exactly a place to fit the living room. So yeah, we end up going for this green shade. And this ground floor ends up having this very specific color palette. So we have this sort of olive green, and then we have, I want to say like a burnt peach color or like a copper. You'll see what I mean. So yeah, these are the couches that we go for. And the reason why I went for these ones is because they have this sort of side table on them. And since we weren't really gonna have space to put like a coffee table, I thought that this was perfect. Also, one really cool thing about custom content is you have so many cool like appliances, and I really like this cooktop with the oven. It looks so nice. And then we didn't have space for a full fridge, so I do end up using a mini fridge and trying to like incorporate it in the cupboards. We don't really have that many CC mini fridges. I haven't really looked because I wasn't expecting to use one in this build, but I feel like that's something that I will be on the lookout for now, at least out of curiosity. I will be looking for that for at least one custom content fridge. And I also did use this range hood, and I even thought about placing another one like under it, so it had like a different shape, but it was really chunky. It wasn't really looking good. And I also thought about placing a wall there to kind of separate the spaces, but I don't know, I think it looked weird having just a singular wall piece there. So this is when we are doing it, just because there was this weird gap between the couch and the counters. And also I didn't want to close everything off because I tried that so many times off camera, and it wasn't closing the space too much. And the point of this house was to have it like a small space but not very claustrophobic. So yeah, we end up just removing that wall there. And we also have these cool windows under the stairs. They have like this triangular shape and follow the line of the stairs, so I thought that was really nice. And it still allows us to have some windows near the sink, which is something that I enjoy doing. And I know that they face the rocks outside, but you know, it's nice to still have that and have some light coming in. And so that's where we put the sink. Now, I'm not sure if this works. I haven't play tested it yet, but I will once we jump in game. And if it doesn't work, I'll just move a few things around. But yeah, that's where it goes. And then since we don't have a lot of space, we do put some shelves on that wall there. But yeah, the eating area ends up being here actually, which I was surprised I could fit this table, honestly. I didn't think I was gonna get like a 3-seater. But yeah, for the living room, we go for these like built-in shelves. Not only do they allow us to have a bunch of clutter in, they also look nice, and I think they tie in with the kitchen counters really well. And as you can see, this couch color is the color that I was telling you about, and then we have these like olive colors which kind of border on the yellow side. And of course I use the tool mod a lot to resize the rugs. And you know, one thing that I I've noticed is when I'm building in Paralives and then I switch to The Sims or vice versa, I end up thinking about how I like some things in one game, or how I prefer some things in The Sims, or how I prefer other things in Paralives, and it would just be nice to have the best of both worlds. For instance, I like how you can just easily raise up and down objects in Paralives and also resize them, whereas in The Sims you can't really do that as easily. So for instance, I rely a lot on the tool mod for that. But then in The Sims it is much easier to just resize a room, you know, grab a whole room and just replace it, you know, move it around, bump it out, in and out, however you want it. But then again, you know, in Paralives you do have that more freedom with placing the walls. So, you know, you can have shorter walls, you can have different thickness for the walls, you can have any sort of diagonal that you want. So yeah. As I said, you can have the best of both worlds. But yeah, I really enjoyed this curtain, which is, I think, from like a glamping pack, I think by Hey Harry or Felix Andre, or maybe it's a pack that he did together. I'm not sure now, but it is from one of them at least, and it is a really cool pack. And I didn't expect it to be versatile, but I think it kind of fit this house. And actually the vibe for this was, I wanted to be artsy and kind of high-end because it is modern as well, but not pretentious. I don't know if that makes sense. So, you know, I wanted the space to feel accessible. You know, it's not a celebrity living here. It is an artist that is also very, you know, human. So that's why they chose this small place and also far away from the city. So yeah, we have this little entrance area here, which again, I wasn't expecting to have, but we did have this little nook here. We just placed some clutter there and then also a mirror on that wall. And we just have some keys there as well, so you could throw them on as you arrive. And then a cool way to include some more color or kind of marry the colors that you have in the whole room is just placing some details like decoration. In this case, I used the pillows and then I just use the same olive color that we have in the kitchen. And then it is just time to clutter this up, these shelves in the living area, or the living nook, I should say. And then this wall here, actually, we just use, I think, the same wood that we used outside to kind of make it a feature wall. But yeah, these are the shelves that I was talking about. I think it is important to have storage in the kitchen, and we do have the counters, but you know, some exposed shelves also can look really nice, especially in modern environments like these. And I use this trick all the time, so these shelves just lets us place almost any decorative objects, and then we can just be more precise with what we put and where we put it. But yeah, I use these objects. I think this is from the kitchen pack by Felix Andre and Hey Harry. Might be the Kitchen 2.0 pack. I don't know, as I said, I downloaded a bunch of custom content, so yeah, but I think that's the pack that we use. And they look really nice because the colors match with what we already had. And yeah, I think it looked really nice in the end to have that clutter there. Oh, this is the wallpaper that we go for, as I said. We just, I think, use a different darker color, or lighter color, sorry. Yeah, I think this is the one that we go for because it kind of ties in with the kitchen and the stairs. Speaking of saving, we will be getting a autosave feature in The Sims, and also a save reminder, I think. So I didn't think that was something we would ever gonna have, but it's cool. And I think we can activate it and deactivate it. And also maybe autosaves, I think, could be separate from your normal saves. So, you know, if you're playing and you don't really want to have the game save itself because something could go wrong and you want to go back, maybe you could have like separate autosaves from your own saves. But yeah, I think that's something that we're gonna have. And then also, I think we swapped the table for either a round one or a square one. Yeah, I actually think we go for this one. And I really like these chairs. And yeah, I think this is the swatch that we go for. I was so surprised that the base of the table actually tied in really well. And this is not custom content, I don't think. I think it is a Max's table. So I was surprised at how well they matched, but yeah, those colors matched. And I also used a darker shade of wood because I didn't want everything to be the same shade of wood. And there are some quote-unquote rules that you can use for mismatching woods. So you have either warm wood tones, you have medium wood tones, and then you have cold wood tones. And what I've heard is that you can mix either warm and neutral or cold and neutral, but never warm and cold, if that makes sense. This goes with taste, I guess. I usually just try to go for what looks good, but then again, other times I just go for the clash. Like, I really want them to not mix and match. I want them to be different on purpose, if that makes sense. But yeah, just a little tip if you're into like interior decoration. I think it's a cool hack to know. And you know, there are other tips that are like, you have the 50-30-20 or something like that. So 50% of the color in one room should be neutral, the other 30 should be something else, and then you have a smaller portion should be like the feature color or like the vibrant color, something like that. Again, I never studied anything like this. I just am really interested in interior decoration, and a lot of things I kind of absorb but forget exactly how to explain them. But yeah, this is kind of the final look for this. I think we just placed like an ottoman under those shelves and then a painting leaning next to that wall, because that's one of the major things in this house is we're gonna have a bunch of paintings. Of course, we have an artist sim, and I don't think I specified, but there will be a painter sim or a house for a painter. So we're gonna have just a really huge selection of paintings that, of course, I'm assuming they painted. And here we start just decorating and placing a bunch of paintings on these walls, going up the stairs. And I think we changed that tile for a wood as well, just so it matches to what we have upstairs. But yeah, we just start selecting a bunch of custom content paintings just because they have some nicer modern swatches. Of course, we have some nice ones in the base game and also with the packs as well. But yeah, here we have swapped the wallpaper and we just start placing some more paintings up the stairs. And we have a variety, not only modern but also some, let's say, more classical paintings. So we have portraits and landscapes and things like that. So, you know, the vibe is a little bit more quirky and artsy. But yeah, moving on to the upstairs, this is the studio part. I did download like some different CC packs that have art related furniture, and I don't think we use this pack as much in the end as I was expecting, just because I know we had a kit that came out that was also related to art, to painting. So we use a bunch of objects from that kit. I think they looked nicer for the aesthetic that I wanted to go for. And also this easel is a little bit chunky and we are tight on space, or we will be with the bunch of clutter that I end up placing. But yeah, this chair is really nice. It came with this pack that I got, and they have these swatches that are like rusty, so I thought that was really nice. It's cool to see the details like that, because, you know, you have this artist that looks like they're doing well in life, but then they have these objects that they've had since day one and they don't want to get rid of them because they've always been there, and they also give this character even though they're like old. But yeah, we placed that easel there because, you know, point of having that separate area outside is to just have another area where they can paint, and painting outside is different. I think it is a different vibe, and if you're feeling like it, then it's nice to have that option as well. And then right here, we keep just placing some more paintings up these stairs, and in the end, these are filled with pictures or paintings. So, you know, I think that is really nice and is exactly what I wanted to go for. Even though it's a small space, it has a lot of character, and you can really see, like, when I look at this, I picture a specific type of personality in my head. So, you know, hopefully that happens to you too. And the beauty of it is, I think everyone will picture a kind of different sim, but, you know, with similar vibes. So yeah, let me know what you think of this and if it makes sense. And also, you know, what kind of sim you see living here. And also it could be like a couple, I don't know, because we have space for two sims. So we have a double bed, we have a three-seater actually. So, you know, you can have two sims living here. And also you could turn that little area outside into another bedroom or another office and then have the second bedroom in this upper level. So, you know, it's really cool just to think of the possibilities here. But yeah, we have a bunch of these sketches. I do use a few that I have never used because they came with that kit, the art studio kit. I'm not sure about the name, but yeah, these ones, I think they look so nice, and it just makes sense for an artist like this to have a lot of inspiration, maybe some things that they collect when they travel, and then so they don't forget and have that inspiration when they paint. And also I placed some on the windows because I remember doing this as a kid. When I wanted to trace art, I would put it up against the window, and then I would have like a white sheet on top of it, and then I would trace it. And I even did that at school as a kid. I remember doing that. So that is kind of the idea, you know. So I think it's fun to kind of play with light and art in that way. We rearrange everything a little bit, just so we fit the little piece there, the draping sheets there, but I don't think we used that in the end because it didn't really make sense in my view. They didn't seem like that sort of painter that really needed the reference there of like having a stool and then a vase on top of it. So we just swapped that for like this storage thing for canvases. But yeah, this is the base of the layout of this room. The easel stays there in the middle, which I actually think is nice. And then as you can see, we have a lot of paint already on the floor, and I wanted it to be like this. And the reason is I wanted there to be this contrast between what the studio was and then the ground floor or the main living area was. So as you can see, it is on the neater side down there. It is nicely decorated, and then you get up here and you have this messy area with a lot of stains, but I think it is really, really important to have a place where you can allow yourself to be messy. And I don't know, to me this was a sim that just really succeeded in their chaos. So I also think it's a sort of ode to also the process and all the failing and all that. So yeah, as you can see, this contrast between having everything neat versus having the mess up here. So, you know, that's something that I really enjoy looking at. And then we have this little area here. So we just do a sort of continuation of the whole gallery thing. Because, you know, I didn't want the studio to be only just sketches and messy bits, so you know you have actual art there as well. And I just place some more of those. Maybe this station right here is where they can come up with concepts and brainstorm. And we actually do have some more different types of art things. So we have some craft supplies. I thought that was really fun if they wanted to do mixed media. And I think that's something cool that you can do if you want this artist to be or to have different interests. They can also do like candles. They could be into candle making or flower arrangements, because that's something that we have in the game. So I think it's really nice, and they can make money off of it. So I think that would probably be the storyline that I would go for. But yeah, we just place some more of those sketches there on the window. Now, of course, it kind of blocks the light, but then we don't have curtains here. I don't think you would need them either way. And then this is the structure that I was talking about. So we place it there. And I think this is unlocked with a specific career, like an art career probably. But yeah, I wanted to place that there because it made sense for this space, more so than what we had before. But yeah, here, as I was saying, we have these arts and craft supplies. And I think it's fun to have that as well. And even if it's just decoration, it kind of makes sense for the space. And then we also used this rug, which is, it came with City Living, if I'm not mistaken, and it has the paint there as well. But yeah, the rest of the room is just paint all over the floor, and it has its own beauty in its way. And of course, we have a bunch of stools here to place a lot of materials and that, so so you don't have anything missing here. Yeah, as I said, a lot of references, a lot of art-related stuff here, and again, a note to the process. And now moving on to the bedroom, we end up placing the bed against this window, and that's something that I'm always unsure whether I should do, just because it could be a little bit odd, but we did that in this bedroom just because we didn't really have much space to place the double bed in any other orientation. Sure, we could have it against the wall opposite to this window, but then the space to have two side tables would be a little bit awkward. And then we have also a door there that leads to the balcony, so choices were made, and this is what we end up with. And I actually like this layout. I think it is realistic. And of course, we have a lot of windows in this bedroom, which to me is really nice. And we have these two open windows as well. So the bedroom, unlike the studio area, is also more on the cleaner side. So, this is probably where they go and want to declutter their mind from the whole art space. So yeah, and we don't have that much space, obviously, so it makes sense. And then we have these wardrobes, which are really nice, by the way. I really like these. I've used them before in the past, and then we just have the mirror next to it, and we put some curtains too. Now, I love doing this. So we have two different types of curtains. We have these like sheer curtains, which filter the light a little bit, and then we have some sort of blackout windows, which also are in this nice color. And as you can see, the palette is very similar to what we have downstairs. And then for these windows, I just followed the same pattern. So we have the sheer curtains, and then we also place, of course, some plants. And then this lamp is really cool. I love these modern lamps, and just modern lamps in general, because they have some weird shapes that can be organic, especially with the different materials that they use, sometimes stone, wood, metals. And the cool thing is that they often do, also glass of course, they do this kind of game between light reflecting sometimes, especially in metal ones. Yeah, I'm going on about something that I don't really know much about, but yeah, just placing some more clutter. But yeah, I do place also these baskets underneath the side tables just because they had this space there. And when you have a small space, I think you should have solutions for different things, and in this case to have some more storage, since these side tables don't really have like drawers and stuff. So I think baskets are a really nice way to kind of have that. And also it's something that I started doing because I have a bunch of clutter now, and not everything can be stored away. But also when clutter starts living, everywhere, you need to find a spot for it to live, let's say. So yeah, baskets for the win. And then right here, we do this small table with some clutter as well, some decoration. We use this painting as well on the wall, which I thought was really fun and also different. But yeah, I thought it fit the vibe of the personality that I imagined. And then in front of the mirror, we just also place, I think, another stool or something like that, so we can display one of these vases. And also, I think we do swap the rug. I think we go for this one, which I was really amazed by. Not only like the texture of it, also the color and the shape fit really nicely. So yeah, it just looks like it has this texture that is a bit on the rough side, and I don't know, it just looked really nice. And then we have, of course, this area outside, or this balcony of the bedroom, and it ends up being very simple. So we just have a couple of chairs there, some plants, and I think a little table and a lamp. I think it's a cool spot to chill. And so if you end up having more than one sim in this build, then of course you can have them both hang out there. And then this is the tiny stool that I talked about, which, by the way, really amazing wood texture. CC creators really go all out. Again, using that space underneath the side table, I just placed also some knitting So, you really can do anything as, or this sim can do a lot of things as an artist, different types of art. So yeah, we end up going for another plant here. And I think this is it for the bedroom. Then we just have this area out here. We do a little bit more landscaping. And also we have this hammock, which was really fun. But yeah, besides that, I think we just have the bathrooms to be done. And I think we should just jump into the game and check out how the final build ends up looking like. All right, here we are in the final build. And this is what it ended up looking like. So this is the front of the lot. So we have a lot of greenery here. And then let's check out the side of the lot. Again, it follows the same aesthetic with all of the green and the rocks. Then we have the balcony there. And then this is the back of the house. And also we have this little outside area here. So you can check this other side of the build. And we're back to the front. And let's actually check the interior of the house now. So as we step up, we have this little bench here made, I suppose, from the rocks that were around the place. So I thought that was a cool detail. And as we go inside this double door, we are greeted, well, first by this little entryway area. So we have just a little spot to put some of your decorations and your day-to-day basics. And then next to it, we have the living room. So it is very cozy, but also modern. We have the TV there with some art displayed on it. And then we have also the nice couch. I love this color. And then next to the entrance as well, we have this umbrella basket, and we also have the dining area. So we have this nice little table with 2 chairs. You can add a third here. And the Sims would be able to route here, no problem. I did play test the build. I had to move a few things, but the Sims can move anywhere. I also had to swap the doors just because the other ones were a 2-tile door and Sims weren't able to use it. So these ones they can. And then over here we have the kitchen, our little kitchen. But it has everything you would need except for maybe a microwave. So if you would like, I think I would place it on this counter here in the corner, just because we have those 2 appliances there that I think are just for decoration. But yeah, we have this, which looks really nice. And then we have this door here, which leads to the bathroom. And this is the downstairs bathroom. Now you will see that both of the bathrooms in this build are similar. They just have different colors. I went for this orangey rust color as well. We have the shower here and of course an open window, which is really handy in a bathroom in my opinion. And yeah, some really nice objects here. I'm obsessed. Also, this is a lamp, which is kind of disguised as artwork. So I thought that was ideal to use here. But yeah, let's go out again. And then if we go up these stairs, we of course have this gallery with so many paintings. And as we go up the stairs, we get to the art studio. Now there is a lot to take in, so let's go bit by bit. Of course, we have the art gallery here. And then over here we have like the brainstorm area. As you can see, a lot of clutter. Maybe they were painting these sort of jars. Maybe they made this themselves, which, would be a really cool addition as well to their portfolio. And then we have a sink here, which is really essential. And then over here, we have the actual painting area. So we have, of course, a lot of sketches, messiness, paints. We have some more like swatches here, concepts, a lot of clutter, canvases, and just a bunch of things an artist would need or want or just have. And of course we have the easel itself. But yeah, a little bit tough to walk around here, but this in my mind is one of the Sims that functions in their own chaos. So yeah, we have some paintings here as well. But yeah, overall a very cluttered and messy and artsy area. And then over on this door we have the upstairs bathroom, which is in a similar fashion to the downstairs bathroom, but this one has a tub, so that's really nice if you want to have a bath instead of a shower. And then of course we have everything else you would need. We have also a nice window and the same light, which adds a touch of artsy. And then back out again, and through this other door we get to the bedroom. So this is how it looks like. We have some nice colors here as well. So we have the bed and both bedside tables. Then over here on this wall, we have some more decoration. We have some little everyday things like your perfume, your skincare. And then over here, we have the wardrobe and the mirror. I just slightly moved the mirror just because with the new door, it was clipping a little bit. So that's fixed and it's looking really nice now. And over on this wall, we have another door which leads to the balcony. And as you walk out, we have these plants and also this nice seating area. And I'm obsessed with both of these chairs. I think they look really unique and I think it makes sense in an artsy house like this. And yeah, it's really nice to just sit here and you have the waterfall next to the house. You have this really cool view. So yeah, really nice spot. And then that's it for the main house actually. And if we go out again and if we go around the house, we actually have these stairs here. So next to this big old tree, and if we go up these steps, we get to this little area here. And I really like how the tree is kind of invading it, but we have the hammock here, so this would be really nice to just lounge on. Of course, it's very peaceful here. And then you also have another painting station here, so this one is much more low-key. I feel like when this sim wants to have their mind not so cluttered as it is inside, they just come here and relax. And of course they have this cool view of the back, which also has some trees and just greenery. I think it's really inspiring as well for them. And yeah, cool and nice relaxing spot. But yeah, this is it for our house, our little art getaway. Let me know what you think. As always, this will be up in the gallery. My ID is CatsAgainstCrime, and you can also find that in the description of the video. I will also have a complete list of all the CC that I used in this build, which is quite kind of a lot. So, you know, if you want to go all out like I did, feel free to get those CC packs. And also, if you'd like a version of this without the CC or just the shell, also let me know. I would be more than glad to do that. And if you have any other ideas or suggestions, I am open to all of them, so let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.